Hello, good afternoon already. How was your break? Was it good? Good? Very good? Perfect. You are energetic, so next 45 or 35 minutes we'll spend talking about trust and why I chose this topic. Because since yesterday we've been talking here about all the pain points that we have in agile environments, right? Especially on the first presentation that David delivered yesterday, there were a lot of examples that we face and we have the challenges nowadays. So now I would like to ask you: is there anyone here who knows how to solve those challenges? I guess not. Oh, there's a one brave guy. Okay, let's have a lunch together after the talk. I would like to see it. And who would like to know how to solve it? Everyone, yes, obviously. So I need to tell you, and I need to set the expectations that I will not tell you how to solve it today. There is no single solution, single bullet, but definitely what helps a lot when I experience that is this trust aspect. So this talk will be about trust. People call it sometimes soft skills. I don't like it. I more tend to call it human skills, as Simon Sinek said. And I'm an engineer, so I wanted to dig into how to build trust. So I will tell you today how to build trust and try to solve some of our challenges. But before giving this solution to you, I would like to focus on the environment we operate in. So we operate, any of you knows this term, VUCA. Yeah, there are some people, I guess we are in this agile environment, so we know about this term. It was defined in the US after Second World War, and it describes the world we are living in right now. But we live also in the agile world, right? And this is my acronym. I sort of invented, but this is obvious where we live. There is a situation that our market is very dynamic. Every day, new startups popping up, closing down. So it's a lot of movement in terms of the companies on the market. And no requirements. We've heard a lot yesterday about, hey guys, we don't know what we would like to code, but we would like to produce the system, right? So that's our challenge. Ambiguous estimations. Recently, before the break, we were listening to some solutions how we can approach this problem, but definitely someone from the business is keeping asking us, hey, how long it will take to deliver it, right? Do you have experience with speaking with the business about the deadlines? Yes. Do you like those? No, exactly. I'm neither. And we are here to solve complex problems. So if you would like to solve complex problems, you would like to know how to do it in this environment that we live in. This is the obvious statement that I don't even need to describe. But what I would like to tell you today is to focus on this yellow left-hand side on your side, part of the manifesto, because in every single piece there is trust incorporated in that. Individuals interactions, obviously, if we interact with each other, if we would like to be effective, we need to trust each other, right? If we would like to collaborate with our client, not only sign the contracts and get the penalties if the contract is not delivered, we need to trust our clients. Sometimes we need to agree that deadline will be pushed further. To respond to the change, we need to trust ourselves, that we are ready to respond to a change, that we have capacity, that we have skill set, that we will manage to changing environment. And all those will produce working software. So all those is glued, is connected with trust. So what does it mean for me as an engineer? I did a little bit of reading about trust, and I found two pillars of trust, of establishing trust. One pillar is cognitive aspect of trust, and the other pillar is emotional aspect of trust. Let's focus on the cognitive. Cognitive is everything that we know we have in our minds, we use in our daily job. So all the skills, knowledge, experience, all the things that we have as engineers, as agile people. And we deliver results. So someone will trust us, the exec team or the product owners or whoever stakeholder you work with will trust us because we will deliver. If we will commit, hey, we will deliver this software by 3 months from now, the software will be there, will be trustworthy, right? On the other hand, we have this emotional part of aspect of trust, which is transmitted through feelings. So how the people feel when they interact with us. So if our intentions are open, if we are open and honest and proactive speaking with people, they will feel, okay, I can trust this guy. I don't see hidden agenda behind him or her thoughts. And that's we call integrity. So to be in integrity, be in the state where our actions follow our words and our decisions. So two aspects. If you would like to remember one thing from 35 minutes spending with us today, it's this slide. Trust is competence and character. Pay attention on your competence, develop skills, and make sure that your character is shown to the people. So competence, we call it cognitive intelligence, and I guess all of us have a lot of different tools and techniques and methods how we can develop our cognitive skills. So we do some analysis at work, right? We use some logic and we implement some logic in our systems. We use some languages, and not only languages like English, French, German, and Polish, and the other ones, but also the technical language that we speak with engineers, with the business guys, with the Agile, right? Try to explain some Agile definitions to your family. That's difficult, right? So we do have specific language that we operate, and we have some data that we analyze. On the other hand, we have this emotional intelligence, which is nowadays very fancy in terms of the topic that we are discussing, especially after COVID. So emotional intelligence, this is very brief description, but it is the way we can recognize, understand, and manage our emotions. So basically recognize in which state we are in on the retrospective, for example, why we behave such a way if we got the questions from the product owner or from stakeholders or from exec team especially. On the other hand, it is also ability to recognize and understand emotions of others. So if we lead retrospective, for example, we as agile leaders need to observe the team and see who is comfortable, who is not comfortable, why this person is not comfortable, why this person is maybe shy in current circumstances. So being aware of that, of those two pillars, will help us leading the teams. So at the end of the day, we need to embrace our emotional part. So focusing on not only data, not only programming languages, but also on our emotional part. And that's the way how we can start to breaking silos. I wouldn't say we will break for sure the silos in our organization, but we can start to break the silos. We can start to build relationships with others. Here you can see the DevOps ecosystem and a lot of tools that you may be familiar or you don't maybe not need to be familiar with. But this is the whole software development world pretty much, right? There is a domain of building software, there is a domain of testing software, there is the domain of delivering, deploying, running, monitoring, and so on. And nowadays, the whole DevOps movement, which helps the agile world as well, tend to give us the ability to work cross-domain, right? But as you see, even the tools are put in domains, so people tend to feel or tend to think, hey, I'm the one building software. I don't want to test the software, right? Or I'm the one testing software. I don't want to deploy the software to production because there are operations guys who will deploy it. And that's how step by step the silos in our organization are being created. And the only way to break the silos is to start speaking outside of your main domain. with people. It means that you need to learn language of those domains. You need to learn how to speak with those people, but then you can start building the relationships. Because if we will not build the relationships, we'll have the silos here in terms of the language we speak, for example, right? But if we will start to discussing, trust will be coming up. There are, remember, those two aspects. So we'll get to know the tools and languages of other domains, which is this cognitive aspect of trust, and then we will show up as we are open, proactive to discussion. There will be the other pillar. Coming back to Agile world, the silos are not only in the development world, they are also in the corporate Agile world. So we tend to build silos everywhere, right? And this is not an example just to joke from SAFe, right? But it looks complicated. But I would like to show you that if you have the domains specific to the people and very complex, there will be some silos even not even hidden, right? Because we don't have the ability to build connections with a huge amount of the organization. So we need to know that silos will be there. There will be some group of people here that will be in silo. For example, solution architects will be or may be in silo versus development team, right? So that's the challenge. And on one hand, we need to be aware of that. On the other hand, if we'll be building the relationship between those components, it will help us to be more efficient. This is the DevOps state report from Puppet, and they said what we are also saying since yesterday, that without manual approval, we should deliver the work without manual approval, and that's the middle state of being in the DevOps setup, right? We look at it on the Agile perspective, from the backlog, Jira tickets, and so on, and our product owner who needs to approve that. But from the engineering world, it looks like this, that those guys would like to have continuous integration, continuous delivery up until the production. So we need to have trust of someone to, someone will tell us, okay, I don't need to approve this backlog feature, you can deploy it to production. So how to build this trust? I would like to invite here Brené Brown, who is the American psychologist, and she's doing the research on a lot of things, but the trust is one of the domain she works in. And she said that trust is not being built in the big moments, once per month, once per year, or once per quarter, but it is being built every day on tiny moments. So if you show up to people every day, seeing very small amount of time invested from your time, and you show up every day, you'll be building this trust every single day. So let's see on the example. We have the person in the team, and we have the new joiner, right? Or vice versa. The new joiner is this one, and the second one is the person in the team. And our brain subconsciously scans the environment, seeing for the safe conditions. Safe conditions, I mean, if we can trust others or not trust. So the person in the team looks on the new joiner and say, hey, how are you? I'm Mike, hey. And subconsciously, we scan this person, scan the environment, thinking, okay, do I trust? Can I trust him or her or not? And in the small moments every single day, our brain scans this solution, this situation, and finally, after some period of time, we can establish trust and say, hey, yes, this guy is okay. I can rely on him or her because he or she delivered software. I can rely on him or her because she or he delivered, not delivered, but is open with me. So that's the way we could build the trust. And why is so important? It is important because we have a lot of different challenges in our daily life in the corporate when we need trust. One example is pair programming. Why is that? Pair programming is very, very crucial. Maybe any of you had a chance to be on this pair programming session. Do we have any engineers? Yes, there are some people. Do you like it? Perfect. You like it. Perfect. That means that you are already advanced in establishing trust. Because to like this type of environment, you need to feel secure. So you need to trust others, your peers, that you are safe, that you can claim that, okay, maybe my solution is not so good, maybe you have the better idea. While I'm writing a code and the other guy, the other person says, hey, fix that or change the way you think. So if you like it, it means that you already feel secure and establish trust. It can be that people don't like it, and I have a lot of examples in my career that people didn't like it because they have fear of rejection. If, for example, we have senior developer and junior developer, and senior developer is writing a code, and junior is saying, "Hey, maybe switch it to the other method that you implemented." So what senior developer can think? Oh my gosh, I'm a senior guy, you know. This is my code, and someone else, like a junior guy, can tells me that I need to fix that. What the hell, right? We can have this fear, and vice versa. When we have a junior guy, and a senior guy will help them, or will help him or her, and junior guy can feel offense, right? Oh my gosh, this is my first week in the company, and someone else told me that I did it wrong. That's the disaster. Right? So there is situations like this needs establishing trust. Also situations like code review needs establishing trust. I remember a lot of examples that people, one particular example that there were two developers sitting next to each other, you know, desk to desk, and team leader of those guys told me that, you know, those guys during 1 week put 100 comments in the pull request, not speaking to each other. Just, you know, sitting and writing the comments, right? It happens. It happens. It is common. Any one of you had experienced such like things? Yes, no. I see some nodding. It happens. So for people, what I did in this situation, definitely we brought those guys together and explained what's the process, how it should look like. They are secure. We are not blaming anyone, and so on and so forth. But it is the other situation that we need to establish trust in order for people to feel secure. The other example that we can bring it from the yesterdays, for example, this backlog approval, right? We have a huge backlog, and we need to wait for manual approval from someone, from stakeholder, that, hey, you can go ahead with this one. You can deploy it to production. Everything is ready, you know, almost done on production, but some product owners needs to approve 100 tickets. This is also about trust, right? That if we will establish trust, most likely not with this product owner, but with the executive team who will set up the whole process. If we can establish trust with our CTO, for example, that we may be able to slowly change the process and say, you know, look on the history, we delivered 100 features to the production. We didn't break a production, so you can trust us, you can rely on us. If we will do it, because it sometimes happens, we will stay longer in the at work. That's this emotional part of trust, that people will feel that we are truly what we've committed to, that we can fulfill. And then slowly we can change the mind of our CTO to change the process, right? So that's the example. Once again, Brené Brown today, because if you don't know her, anyone doesn't know her, maybe that's the question. Like two, 3 people, yeah. So for those of you who doesn't know her, I really recommend you to go and check. There's a movie on Netflix. There are a lot of talks in YouTube, on YouTube. And she inspires me very much because she says she called the thing that we all experience in the company, but no one is brave enough to tell about that. She called about our vulnerability. She said that we only can be effective, creative, and work effectively together if we will be truly ourselves at work. If we will be not hiding behind any masks, we will not be hiding behind any projects, and so on. We need to be truly as we are, and this is very important not only for production and for being productive, but also for being humans, right? We like being ourselves. So she said that if we are in this state of being ourselves, there is a place where the innovation and creativity is born, because we are not afraid of being rejected. So we can share even stupid ideas, but those stupid ideas can inspire others. This slide is for engineers, most likely, because if you know Brené Brown, you know exactly what human vulnerability is. But when I explain to engineering world this word, it's about we know this vulnerability from the systems vulnerability. And in IT, any of you is involved in systems vulnerability? Okay, so there are special roles in our IT when the people are seeking for the weakness in the system and then fix it. But human vulnerability, defined not only by Brené, but Brené speaks about the vulnerability, is the willingness to show emotions and to be seen, to show our weaknesses, because we are not perfect. And for example, that's a good example for the retrospectives. When we run the retrospective, we can even have the two corner cases. One corner case that everything is, bad, like a shitstorm complaining, right, during the retrospective. That's one thing. It can be good because people can filter out emotions after some difficult changes, for example, in the company. But it is tough, right? Any one of you run this type of retrospective when you had a lot of complaints? Yes, I hear you. Yes, I hear you that it is difficult. I was there. On the other hand, which is also difficult, is that when you come to the retrospective and everything is beautiful and shiny and everything is great, right? So both of those cases are not true. This is not a true state. Anything is either perfect or imperfect in the world. There are some mixes, right? And in order to be ready to share about tough things, but also to be happy about some things and to share your happiness, this is this vulnerability, to be brave enough to say what you think, what you feel, and how you feel. So this is my personal opinion, but I truly believe it is true. We need to be vulnerable to do Scrum. Because in Scrum, and not only in Scrum, but in Scrum we have all the meetings, we call it ceremonies, right? But those are the tough meetings. For example, let's take a review or the demo, we called it. Do you have this experience that when you have important CTOs or C-level guys or directors in the review, nothing works? Exactly. So that's difficult situation, right? And we need to, I can tell you that the C-level guys, they are not looking for perfection. They are not looking that everything will be going fine. They are looking that you are in control. So if only something breaks, and usually on the review is on the demo something breaks, they are not looking, oh my gosh, it has broken. They are looking on you if you control the situation. So if you will be yourself, steady, in a good shape, explaining what happened and promising that it will happen, that you will fix that, that's okay for your C-level stakeholders. But to be there, we need to admit for ourselves that we are not perfect, that there can be then mistakes and the errors, right? There is a very nice quotation that I really like from Charles, Feldman, once he was speaking with Brené Brown, he said something like this, that trust is a choose, that's our choose to make something important to you vulnerable to the actions of in front of someone else. So for example, when you have the planning meeting, we discussed yesterday, right? David mentioned about not committing, not agreeing of putting new stuff to backlog, right? So when you have this thought in mind during planning, you can tell it explicitly to product owner, hey, I don't feel comfortable with new items. I don't think I will be able to deliver. And to keep the commitment to the CTO, for example, the business guys, we need to remove that. So you are putting your vulnerability and your opinion in front of the others, that they can say, oh, you know, this guy is lazy. They can escalate the situation and say, oh, she or he doesn't want to deliver the items to me. So this is very, very important. Also talking about metrics, we love metrics, right, in our world. We was discussing Monte Carlo and or other stuff. I recently was using DORA metrics, and we tend to say, give me your metrics and I will tell you whatever you want to hear. We are very good at that, especially engineers are very good at that, very, very clever, right? The situation, it looks like this, that every single metric, and I haven't found, if you know any metric that can't be over, how to say it, when it over, that we can't find the solution to overcome the metric, then I would love to hear that. But from my experience, every single metric I was observing, we can cheat about that. Here are the 4 DORA metrics that I was using. Deployment frequency. Do we want to deploy frequently to production? Yes, obviously, everyone wants to deploy frequently since the Facebook started deploying frequently their app and so on, right? That's good. However, first things first, this is not the goal to deploy frequently, right? Because if we deploy frequently every single day, I don't believe that we produce meaningful features every day. I mean, that one person can produce meaningful feature that brings the business value within one day. Probably not, right? But I do believe in the frequent deployments, because if we deploying frequently, once per day, for example, it shows that we have the perfect processes, so development processes, right? That our processes are so ideal that we can deploy every single day, every single hour even. So I treat it personally from the engineering practices rather than from the product value practices, deploying every single hour. But what we can do to overcome this metric, deployment frequency, we can divide our user stories for smaller chunks. And instead of deploying one meaningful feature within 5 days, we can deploy every day part of the feature, right? Even the increment, but this increment will not give a value to the business. Lead time for changes. Also, if we have smaller items, the lead time for changes will be quicker, right? Because smaller items will go through quicker through the process. Mean time to recover, I think that's the most difficult metric that we can overcome. But I've heard about solutions that defines different state when the recover is ready. We can deploy it to pre-prod and say, okay, pre-prod, right? Obviously, this is not recovery of the system, but this is recovery of the bug, right? We can deploy to production, but say, hey, we have hidden production. So deploying a production, but there is a feature flag saying this feature is going to the clients or not. And I saw examples when the engineers were deploying to production, put the feature flag to 0, to false. The clients didn't see that, and they were doing some fixes again. So this is cheating about mean time to recover. Yeah? Change failure rate. This would be actually difficult, change failure rate, because I don't have any example on the change failure rate, but definitely I believe that some engineers found the solution. So if we don't have the secure environment, we are not able to build our software effectively. And from my perspective, all the pains that we have in the Agile world, in the DevOps world, in the software development world, is about not having the secure environment to work. If we'll be building relationship with us, with others, and we'll pay attention to those two pillars of trust, cognitive and emotional, we'll start building relationships between inside the team first, then between the teams, then between the departments, and so on and so forth. It takes a lot of time and takes a lot of energy, and it takes a lot of courage. But I think that it is worth. And once we establish trust in our company, we can belong. We feel that we belong to the bigger picture. We feel that we belong to the team. We feel that we belong to the department. And ideally, what everyone is looking for on the C-level is we feel that we belong to the company. So at the end, as we are approaching the end of the talk today, I would like to leave you with this quotation from Simon Sinek, that the team is not a group of people working together. The team is a group of people of trusting each other. Thank you very much.